So the first thing that I'd love to ask everybody is, what are the biggest pain points that you are experiencing today in your virtual classrooms? Great.
How do we know that people are tuned in when they're not on camera?
Great question. Love this.
Depending on the industry, whether it's healthcare or say manufacturing, access to actual terminals and computers may be an issue for bedside nurses in the case of the organization I serve, or if you're on a line in manufacturing, that's one. I think in the training of itself, I often think deeply around how do we form breakout groups and discussion topics that are going to be engaging when somebody's not there to lead the discussion.
Well, we're grateful to have a SharePoint site with a content repository. So there is a link that goes out, like the LMS sends out a reminder, and then there's a link to the documents in there. But then we have the producer have a local copy to drop in the chat at the beginning of class in case people were not able to download the documents. And that helps a lot, having it real time.
That's something that I've been hearing quite a bit actually lately around that is like, yeah, are they talking about the weather or are they talking about the topic at hand? I'm going to share my screen at this point and let you all kind of see what we've built to see if this is going to resonate or not. What we've built, what a live virtual session on our platform would look like. The idea of what we want to do is we want to make it feel as much as if you were gathered in person as much as possible. There's a lot around hybrid, as Dirk was pointing out, where how can we make that and improve that? And so we've done a few things to inch our way into that space, but the real key in that process for everyone to understand, at least my 2 cents on the topic, is that creating equity between the two experiences of whether you're in person or virtual, and making sure that it's fair and equitable in that process. So that way, neither one is getting bias in either direction. Because honestly, there's some areas where I think you could even use the tech side to be more biased in the process for who can access things because they have the device versus those that are being in person, you just have to sit there and listen. And then you could have those more involved and engaged with proximity bias because they're there in front of you versus joining through the virtual platform if you're not paying attention to it.
This is Monica. Just a couple of questions, comments, observations. So I guess my first question is, does this only lay over Zoom or does it lay over any other virtual meeting platforms?
What we're seeing here is on Zoom, but as an app, it can, Chris has shared with us, they're looking at other platforms to put their app on top of it. And as time goes on, this app could just plug in whatever, that virtual infrastructure that you're using inside your organization, is my understanding.
That's correct. The one thing I will say that is we're really pumped and excited about is we made a web-based version of all of this. So everything you're seeing here today, you click the link, boom, you're right in. And everything you can access through Edge or through Chrome in your internet browser to be able to go through this whole process. Our breakout rooms are a little bit different. What's different with this is that we are now able to see who's visibly who is in the breakout room, as well as the content that they're working on. So this is like a kind of a stock environment here, but the idea is that you would see who's engaged, who's speaking within, and then as well as the content that they're working on. Because as they're doing it, you'd be able to have that visibility from what we call the bird's eye view. And the content as well that you have here, you can actually push that specifically to that breakout room isolated.
And I'll just add to it, again, Monica, I think it also depends on the complexity and the number of students that you have. As Chris mentioned, sometimes it's, the first 15 minutes you'll have a producer and then they drop off. But if I'm doing a live session with 20, 25 people, and we're doing breakout rooms and we're doing whiteboarding and polling and all of those, yeah, I'm going to want a producer.